Mudavadi alianza kuwa weak enzi za baba akiwa hai, wakati Raila alikuwa anasimama upresident. Mudavadi ashawahi simama president mpaka jirani yake alikuwa anapigia Raila kura, anaachana naye. Because mimi at first nilikuwa najiuliza, kwani hawa majirani wa Mudavadi, kwani hawezi pigia Mudavadi kura, wanamchukia aje? Kumbe si chuki. Hawa watu washajua Mudavadi is not someone who thinks about other people. Mudavadi akishapewa miguu zake za kuku, akae pale kwa hiyo nyumba yake ya railways, anaangalia hapo China na hesabu Waluya akienda Kawangware, Waluya ndio wameshuka wanaenda Kibera, wengine sijui wanaenda wapi Dandora. Bas, hiyo ndio furaha yake. Mudavadi ndiye amesimamia ministers wote. So it's up to him. Mudavadi ndiye angekuwa na command barabara ijengwe kutoka Kisumu mpaka Busia, iende Kakamega, iende wapi. Hospitali mzuri zingekuwa ziko Western, shule mzuri. Sasa mpaka Vihiga kwao, kwa pale Mudavadi anatoka. Juzi ndio Lokot imejengwa after kunyang'anywa Maseno Lokot. I don't know I think Vihiga doesn't have a prison. Na kama iko nayo ni prison yenye yezi tumika hata na kaunti zingine kuleta mabusu zao hapo. Watu wa Vihiga wanafungwa Kodiaga. Haya. Ni hospitali gani Vihiga iko nayo kubwa yenye unaweza sema mtu haezi taka kwenda Kisumu kutibiwa atibiwe Vihiga? Barabara sasa usiongee. Vihiga county is pathetic, na huko ndio Mudavadi anatoka. Alafu mnaniambia na hiyo koti yake kubwa anataka kulead Waluya for development. Haiwezekani. Natembea is the man. Yeye ndiye atafanya maybe Western ianze kuwa na sauti. Sasa Waluya walikuwa wanapigia Raila kura, hawako wanapigia mtu mwingine kura. Now Raila is no more. Sasa hii ndio wamechanganyikiwa, hata wajua naenda wapi. Na Mungu naye ameleta anatembea tisa, ajaribu kuleta vifaranga zenye kuku yao imepotea pamoja. Alafu wengine wanasema ati Faruk cannot dictate what happens in Western unless akuja na pesa mingi zenye Ruto amempatia. Hiyo. But the rest hakuna. Western is under anatembea for now. Na ni Waluya wafunguke macho. Waluya wafunguke macho. Otherwise in the next 40 years tutakuanga tu tunalia tu hivyo. Nafuata tu miguu za kuku tunapewa 2 tunatafuna tunasahau. Miguu za kuku tunapewa 2 tunatafuna. We need hatutaki pesa kutoka kwa Mudavadi na Wetangula. These people should bring development. Hospitali, barabara, walete institutions zikuwe huko. Vihiga iko na university gani? Vihiga iko na university gani? Nimekasirika sana.
Musalia Mudavadi is a coconut head. These are people who are spoon-fed information and they go all over regurgitating the same. They have no synopsis of facts or basis of what they are spewing other than what they were fed. You see, these are people who cannot think on their own. Get this and get it crystal clear. As Kenyans, we have no problem with privatization. The problem we have is the malnourishment and deficiency of integrity in this government. Anything you do it in an opaque manner and you go against the law and the rules. You put your selfish interests first and then you put the nation's interest, of which the nation's interest should supersede or take precedence over selfish and personal interests. Let's talk about Safaricom now. We all know Safaricom is a monolith. It's a behemoth. It's the biggest, I think, the biggest company in Kenya so far in terms of revenue and all that. And they're the biggest, the largest taxpayers to the government of Kenya. Now, when you hear John Mbadi speak, it begs more questions than answers. And you wonder if he's even fit to hold that position of CS. Now he said they have sold it for 240 billion to fund critical infrastructure without more borrowing or more taxation. In the 3 years this government has been in power, they have borrowed 3.5 trillion. 3.5 trillion. And in that 3.5 trillion, we have seen nothing tangible, substantive no infrastructure. There's nothing good to write home about. 3.5 trillion has just evaporated like that. There's nothing to show for. You see, then all of a sudden, they're telling us that 240 billion will be used for economically transformative infrastructure. Why the certain urgency? And you join the dots, you realize one thing. They are doing all this to prepare a war chest for re-election, to hoodwink voters into voting for them. Why didn't they do infrastructure development with that 3.5 trillion? And then they're telling us that they don't want to borrow or tax. But then there is no evidence telling us that they have stopped borrowing. And just wait, you'll hear it in the news. The government will go again and borrow. So what are we going to develop this country with? We can't develop this country with loans. We can't develop this country with taxes. And we can't develop this country with privatization. Why? And we've had many infrastructure funds established with good intentions, but they have morphed into cash cows and piggy banks for politicians. We have the housing fund. We have the road maintenance levy, railway development levy, petroleum development levy, universal access fund, sports development fund. So what are we doing? And it is very clear this government, they have surpassed the debt ceiling. Now they only have two options. Print more money or sell all public assets. That's the only way they'll raise money. And that's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. If this government loved its people, why didn't they put Safaricom in an IPO and allow Kenyans to own more shares? Why? Look at KPC. It's already gone. And these people are selling assets from a point of weakness and not a point of strength. And that is why when you show weakness, you don't get value for money. Now, if you're privatizing, why are you privatizing the ones that are making profits? Why don't you privatize the loss-making ones, which are quite many, that can be done away with? Things like KCC, Kenya Cooperative Creameries, sell those things. Things like Kenya Airways, dispose them. We don't need a national airline. We can do without a national airline. Clearly, KQ is a loss-making entity. Privatize it. But no, they are keeping the loss-making ones so they can continue injecting loans, saying that the government is injecting more money, and that money even is not used for its intended use. It finds again itself in the pockets of politicians. Then the ones that are making profits are the ones that they are disposing. KPC is our sovereignty. It deals with energy. It's a monopoly. Why are you disposing it? Why do you want our energy sector to be in the hands of private players? Why? This government is desperate. And they are making things so hard. And I'm telling you the truth. The next person who becomes president will have a daunting task to turn around this country because of greed and corruption. These people want to eat anything and everything without mercy. Without mercy. They are now telling us at 240 billion, they want to use it for infrastructure. How? What have they done with the 3.5 trillion they have borrowed since coming into power? They lied to us about Talanta Stadium at 45 billion. But the interest we are going to pay is more than the principal amount. So in total, the cost of that stadium is 145 billion. For 15 months, every month we'll be paying $500 million. Surely. That makes it one of the most expensive stadiums in the country. Not in the country, even in the world. More expensive than Emirates, the Banabu, the Nou Camp, San Siro. Unfilled? Surely. How is it the interest surpasses the principal amount? What logic is that? And then people are saying a stadium, they are saying 2-term, 2-term, 2-term. My friend, 2-term. But your payslip will be raided. It will be raided mercilessly. Utakuwa unapeleka shilingi nyumbani is when you'll know 2-term ni ujinga. There's nothing this government does without first putting their interests in place. From 45 billion to 145, 500 million per month. We shall be paying that. Nyota fund hapa. At you're being given 22,000. At the World Bank, sijui what? Nonsense. It is a loan. It is a loan and you will pay it back. We're in a capitalistic world. There is nothing for free. Especially if it comes from politicians. You will pay through your nose. You will pay through your nose. So it's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate, but 2-term should be neutralized. And this is just a tip of the iceberg. Once he gets a second term, he has nothing to lose. You will see these true colors. A leopard never changes its spots. Ndio mtajua why Uhuru said this man is unfit to rule. Aya.
Si gangsta na pasha na washa shikisha tamasha tavusha mipaka nabika mikeka chunga teleza jaribu eleza hakuna kucheza na kupembeleza tuna wajibu wa kutekeleza ni taratibu kusema kutenda chakula tunaifanya tena na tena na tena tunaifanya